Hello fam, Dr. Jones here with another 60-second faith bite. This one might get me into a lot of trouble, but that's okay. I'm going to trouble it anyway, because it must be trouble. The lack of understanding in this area is causing us to miss the mark, and others who would come to know Christ to rather be offended and stumble altogether. I would have you know, though, that the enemy fought hard against me bodily to keep this message from going forward. So stay with me. I promise it will help you. This is not the first time that I've mentioned this subject, but it is the first time I will have dealt with it in any detail here. Quite simply, the subject is faith. So if you have a minute, let me demystify faith. Not the faith that is commonly used to describe one's relationship with Christ or the church, like when one says they have faith in God. Although this generalized faith is important, because without it, we simply cannot please God. For he that would come to him must first believe that he is. Hebrews 11:16, right? But don't miss this. The faith that I want to spend just a moment unpacking or demystifying is what follows, or part B of verse 16. And that is, he is a rewarder of those who seek him. Earlier, I called faith the currency of the kingdom and argued that absent the currency, you would not receive anything from the kingdom. Listen closely. Faith is not the abandonment of critical thinking. It is not instructing people, adults or children, not to think. Most importantly, true faith is not an absence of evidence. Anyone who has taught you this or is teaching this is doing so in error. We have somehow equated walking without sight to having no evidence. Just in the natural, you must agree that sight is not our only sense. In fact, we have at least 5. Watch this. God plainly states, try me, prove him. In Scripture, faith is always preceded by an instruction, a vision, an unction, a still small voice. There are 3 things I want to say quickly about this. It comes, Romans 10:17, don't miss this. Faith comes, we receive it. It does not begin with us. Like all things, it begins with God. It is not a slave to our wants. On the contrary, it is tied to our God-given desires. Keyword, God-given. Let me say it again. Faith comes. If what you're believing for came off your vision board, from something you saw others doing, or something that just popped in your head because you believe God favors you, that's not faith. In fact, it's closer to witchcraft, because it comes, we don't conjure it up. Rather, we delight ourselves in him, and he gives us the desires of our heart. Don't miss this. It's not even our faith. It is his. Because watch this. How can that which is dead express a desire for anything except it come from that which is now in them? Christ in you, the hope of glory. So it is not our own selfish desires, rather the desires that align with God's work, the good work that he has ordained within us, as we are the workmanship of Jesus Christ. Faith is evidentiary, lastly, as is all things that must be proven. It must be testable, contrary to popular opinion. It is scientific. That is what Hebrews 11 teaches us. The fathers of faith received a word from God. That word became substance, evidence, currency. representing that which God had given them hope for. It was not blind, uncritical thinking or thoughtless. In fact, the historical evidence gives us scientific validity. History proves and continues to bear witness extra-biblically that the supernatural events recorded in the Bible have resulted in the archaeological data proving that they occurred. Let me finish with this. The scripture records Jesus saying at John 5:19, "Truly, truly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of his own accord, but only that he sees the Father doing. For whatever the Father does, the Son does likewise." That's Jesus modeling what it means to walk by faith. Are you doing what has come to you as that which you have seen the Father do? Stop telling God's children you just have to believe hard enough or you lack enough faith. You can't believe God for what he hasn't come to you, for what hasn't come to you from him, or what you haven't received from God. That only brings condemnation, and Jesus came not to condemn the world, but he came to save it. It is not about the amount of faith, it's that you have it at all, because it only takes a mustard seed. Don't miss this. That is what amazed Jesus about those who he didn't expect to have faith. It was that they had it at all. Remember, he was primarily looking for the lost sheep of Israel, which were they to whom he was sent, not to Gentiles. It takes nothing to believe. The demons believe and tremble, but to have the faith that comes from God, that is something altogether different. Get on your face, delight yourself in him until he gives you the faith to walk in his desires for you. I am just trying to help. Love you, fam.